Well, good morning, everybody. It's a nice spring day here on the farm. Welcome to Working Horses with Jim. The horses are enjoying some nice green pasture. And even though it's an overcast day, we've got a lot of things going on that we want to share with you today.
Hi guys, so Ken here has had shoes on. It's amazing how fast time flies. I like to have them reset every 6 to 8 weeks. And Ken has such good feet, and his shoes basically never fall off. And time just got away from me, and it's actually been close to 12 weeks now since he's had shoes reset. So I decided I gotta get these shoes off, and I decided just to do it instead of waiting for the availability of one of the Amish guys that do some shoeing for me. I just decided to just do it myself. I'm not gonna put shoes back on. I just gotta pull the shoes off, trim his feet a little bit, and that's all we need to do this time of year. So anyways, three of the feet are all done. This foot is all done, and I'm happy with that. Got that all done. So now I just got one more to go, and I'll show you how much growth there's been in this period of time. I'm so happy for my shoeing stocks. Some people complain about shoeing stocks, and I'm telling you, as you get older especially, it's the nicest tool to do the job here. Okay, so I'm going to just bend over the nails on the outside of his hoof. And then I'll pull the shoe right off, and you can see how much growth there's been. Now I'm just getting the dirt out of here, and so you can see this big part of the sole right here. It's like 1/4 of an inch higher than it should be, and hopefully usually I can get underneath it like this And kind of pull that right out of there like that. Kind of gives you a pretty good idea how much is there that I don't want there, because that has to come out. I'm not a shoer. I can't explain all the logistics of it all to you. In a second, I'll give you a nice close up here. So different horses' hooves grow faster than others, and Ken is a extremely good growing, has an extremely good growing hoof. So you can see how much growth has happened in these 12 weeks. And like I said, my fault. Definitely should not have gone 12 weeks before a reset. It happens once in a while, but it's very rare that I go this long. But look how much growth is there. And to explain even better, I'm going to take that right off, and you get a better idea what we're talking about. I try not to. I have a lot of horses that have very low heels, so I have to be careful not to cut much on the heels. For Ken, his whole hoof grows really well, heel and all. So I don't have to worry so much about him. So what I'm going to do is cut this outside core right out of here to get it down to where he has a nice flat hoof.
Do you think it has anything to do with the breed or just the individual horse?
Individual. There's good and bad in all breeds as far as feet.
I knew what was going to happen with that. Dogs are crazy about horse hooves.
Okay, so that's that. Now I want to make this a little smaller on the outside edges, so I'm going to cut a little bit in places all the way around. His hoof grows more downward than outward, which is good. And that's probably one of the reasons why his shoes, might be why his shoes stay on so well. So many things that I do, I've done for so many years without issues. And it may or may not be the right thing to do, but it's worked for me for years. So I do it.
What was that you were, what is the name of this?
Nippers.
Nippers?
I call them nippers. So now I'm just, as if you do a good job with the nippers, you have a fairly flat hoof. And you have to, when you're just doing the trimming, there's very little extra trimming to do. I like to kind of round my corners here a little bit. And I also like to cut the hoof down, the frog down a little bit. I think when the foot itself gets long, it kind of is up higher here. The frog grows all the more. If it's down low here, the frog gets more use and it will actually stay smaller. And there again, that depends some on the horse. I also like to do this so I can get the corners and crevices out of here. It's kind of like flossing your teeth. It doesn't allow areas of that dirt to sit in there and cause troubles. This part of the frog is where most of the issues are, and as you dig through this a little bit, it turns into black yucky stuff like a thrush type of thing, and his hoof is just a kind of a perfect hoof, if you ask me. A really good hoof that's had very little troubles, and he's a somewhat older horse. So I'm going to take this strap off and drop his hoof down so he can stand for a minute, and then I'm going to put it on the front rest and just clean the hoof up with the rasp a little bit. Look at that, see him come right up? It doesn't always work that way, but that was nice.
Good job, Kenny.
When you've done this so much and you're used to the stocks, that's what wants to happen. So I'm just going to kind of round my corners. Kind of like your fingernail. The rounder and smoother your nails are, the less they're apt to get caught on things and break. That's what we're doing. So when I'm done here in a couple seconds, this hoof could be all ready for a shoe. Go right on with very little extra work to make that happen. But he is going to be doing most of the field work for the next few months, so he really doesn't need any shoes on. So I'm not going to put shoes on. I don't expect to be doing any road work, so he is done. So there you go, all 4 feet are done. If you guys are wondering why I hire my shoeing done, since I am quite capable of doing it, I'll tell you why. It's a lot of hard work, and those young Amish guys can handle it a lot better than I can physically.
The young whippersnappers.
Okay, we'll get him out of here. And I told Brenda we'd let Ken out with the cow. It's still really wet. Yesterday I actually tried to plow for about a half an hour, and it was just too wet. There's a couple spots that they're sinking right in pretty deep in the tile ditches that we have. And so I decided I'm not gonna plow. So I really don't have anything for Ken to do today. He needs his exercise, so we're gonna kick him outside. I've explained this before, and I'll explain it again. For any of you guys that are new to horses and you think you want to get horses or you already have horses and you want to get a set of stocks to put your horses in to do the shoeing and whatnot, here's a tip that is so important. When you go to unhitch your horse and let your horse out, always get their head disconnected from wherever they might be, whether they're hitched to the stocks. For him, I don't hitch him at all, but a lot of times horses are hitched to the front of the stocks. Don't ever unhitch this back, the last one back here, with his head hitched to the stocks. There's too many horror stories about a horse still being hitched up front, and someone goes and lets him loose here, and they back right out of here about 100 miles an hour, and they take that stock right with them, and it flips it right over, and there's been serious damage done to that horse in the process, as you can imagine. So always make sure the horse is not hitched to anything up front before you let him out. Okay. Also, don't be surprised if you get horses back from the shoer, or if you're doing it yourself and you just have had shoes on him for a while, and say it's the spring of the year, just like I'm doing right now, and I decided to take my shoes off because they really don't need shoes with what work they're going to be doing. Don't be surprised if for a couple days they're a little bit tender-footed by not having those shoes on. But it's just a temporary thing. They'll get over it really fast. It's like you going out barefoot in the summertime. You know, until your feet get toughened up to it a little bit. Your feet are a little sore. For mine, they'd be extremely sore for a long period of time. But anyways, for a horse, it's not anywhere near that bad. It's just, and most of the time, they're fine. But once in a while, they're a little bit tender-footed when you let them out. Okay, come here. My guess, what do you think? What's your guess, Brendan? What's going to happen here? My guess is going to make a beeline down into the field. Not going to worry about cow at all.
Oh, I don't think he cares about the cow.
No.
And she just hasn't figured anything out yet.
And she's not too bright.
Well, she's sweet. Don't say that.
Okay. Okay guys, we just moved our greenhouse. The customer came and picked that up, so that's great. Now I've got a bill hitched to the stone boat, and Skippy and I are going to go pick just a few stones that we have scattered around in the field. Oh. Hi, Steppa. Steppa. Oh. So there's our 2 loads of logs we got brought in today. That'll give us plenty of work for the next few weeks. Some people are probably saying, well, why are you making that horse run? Got that heavy stone boat heading out to the field. Well, I tell ya, I would prefer he walked, and I could make him walk. But I don't know if I've ever had a horse that has this much energy and just loves to go. I've shown this before, how much he loves to run. But it's also amazing how good a shape he is. Although he's starting to get a little bit out of shape, I feel. But he's still pretty good shape. And his breathing will show for that, how well he takes this running around. But I do think he's actually getting out of shape, because I've only been logging about once a week. And I've been trying and hoping and wanting to get some field work done. But it really hasn't been happening very well because the weather has been so wet. It's beautiful out here. This afternoon, got a few hours of nice sunshine, but it's still not dry to do what I would like to do. Javier, Bill. Javier. Javier. Careful. G. Oh. So we have a few stones right here that I'm going to get picked up. And some of these stones, this is a very stone-free field generally. So a lot of these stones, you can see the different color in the soil. It's actually from subsoil, you know, from when they made put the tiles in. But we'll get it thrown on our sled and go dump it off the edge of the field. little bit high. Careful. Cheek, cheek. Oh. Leave it be. Leave it be. Come here. Come here. Okay, we have our few stones picked up here. There's one more right there, or two, or three. So this field is going to be corn probably. So I'm not worried too much about getting all the stones picked because I'm not going to seed it down until next year. But I've got to figure out where to dump these stones and to be able to take them the shortest distance to a spot where I can dump them. I capped that. Careful now. Oh. So I want to cross this ditch. Just checking to make sure it's safe to cross, and I think it is. I cuffed up. Ha, careful. 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 Oh. So I'm going to unload these few stones. It's right next to this huge boulder that we took out of the field quite a few years ago now. And I had an excavator, a friend of mine had an excavator here, and he took it out. And he had a heck of a time even getting it out of here, but he got it off to the edge of the field. My stone wall is actually a little farther in. You can see it right there. So I kind of hate dumping the stones just anywhere. So I decided I'm going to put them right here by or close to, on top of this rock here. Oh, I calfed out. All right, walk, 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 walk. Careful. So this is one of those jobs that I don't really have a lot of time to do, nor will it take a lot of time. I knew that the way Bill is, And the speed he does a job like this, it'll just take us a little while. So if I was to take a team, he'd have to walk, and it would actually just take longer to do the job than it will with him alone. And there's hardly any stones to pick, but I want to just make one pass up through this field and pick a few here and there. And also, I want to see how wet it is up through here. Oh! Nice step. Oh. There's actually quite a few stones right here, but I don't really want to pick them all, to tell you the truth. I'm just getting the biggest ones. I guess I'm a bit of a lazy farmer because my plan is to get the biggest ones. And then if I run out of time, I may just pack so many of these stones just into the ground after I get a nice soft soil. This stuff here will pack right in and you never know they're here. And yes, it definitely sounds like a lazy farmer approach, but there's times that it's actually better to get the job done that way than it is to try and pick every single stone, because that's just a little bit overwhelming and you'll end up not getting too much done if you are that particular and fussy. Oh, a calf step. Up. G a little bit. G. Really. We do have a couple of big ones up here that I really want to get. And beyond that, I don't really care too much. This is the 1st of May, and I was hoping to have my oats in by now, and it hasn't happened yet. So because of that, a little bit limited on time. I'm going to get the biggest of them out of here. And after I seed it down, what I do a lot of times, I see one over there and I remember that one. What I do a lot of times is after I'm seeded down, and even after I cut the hay the first time, I will go back and pick up what few stones are still exposed, but the bulk of these will actually get packed into the ground and flattened in with the roller and the cultipacker, that is, so you'll never see them. Yep, see a little bit. See? See? There. Oh. Calf step. Oh, I remember years ago when we were looking for farms before we bought this place. We were looking out and western New York, and we were walking up on this hill where there was this big field, and it was just loaded with stones, kind of a shale maybe type of stone, small flattish rocks just all over the field. And I was just wondering how, I think at the time I asked the guy how they deal with it, and they just said they just leave them there. But nowadays, with these rock rakes that they have, I'm sure a lot of these farms are going through and using a rock rake and cleaning up all these little rocks if they don't have the manpower to go through and pick them all up by hand. Cast that. Oh. This is the one right here that I recall being here, and I knew I had to get picked up. Brenda would like that. It's a nice flat stone. Oh, 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 high step. Yeah, Bill. Oh. No. High step. I decided to bring this rock down to Brenda like it's a mud. Can you imagine driving a tractor or skid steer down here? I just gotta come out here and check for water. Oh! I haven't got my float in the tub yet, but there's a lot of water there still. I cast up. Well guys, I was kind of trying to think of one of the questions that have been said. It's kind of a common question in the comments, and I just can't remember any of them. But I guess I won't bother answering questions tonight. You guys have a great evening though, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And we shall see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Have a good one. Lleve. Lleve. Careful. Careful. Cheek. Cheek. Oh. Hi. Oh. I cast up. Oh.